Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. The candidate forum this evening is sponsored by the Huntington County Chamber of Commerce, the Huntington County Farm Bureau, and Juniata College. Thank you, Juniata College, for hosting us here in the Neff Lecture Hall. Just a few formatting issues and a couple of housekeeping issues. It is customary to start with congressional candidates. Unfortunately, ours are running late, so we're going to shift around a little bit. And as you can see, we're going to go ahead and start with the House candidates this evening. Each candidate will be given a short period of time, about 3 minutes, to introduce themselves. Then we have a series of questions that we will be asking the candidates in a random order to answer for you, the audience. Questions may be submitted written on the cards. There should be cards and pens floating around in front of you for about the first 15 minutes of the event. If my committee could raise their hand from Government Affairs, these individuals will come around and collect the questions that will be reviewed to make sure we're not duplicating. All questions must be related to the industries represented here this evening, so commerce, business and industry, workforce, education, and agriculture. We would appreciate if your questions are specific to those industries. All right, Representative Mike, your 3 minutes starts now.
State Representative Mike Fleck. This is my 4th year in office, finishing up my 8th year. Prior to that, for 6 years, I was the district executive for the Boy Scouts for Huntington County and Wayne Township. In the House, I've served on the Education Committee the last 8 years, as well as the Commerce Committee, and more recently the Tourism Committee and Agriculture and Rural Affairs. I served my freshman term and then recently went back on. Of course, as you know, ag and tourism are our 2 largest industries in the state, but especially here in the Commonwealth, and it's something that I've worked hard to promote, as well as keep bad legislation from ever passing as it affects our ag community, as well as tourism, certainly. Education has always been my passion. I think we have enough hurdles in rural central Pennsylvania that access to a quality education should not be one of them. I served on the Southern Huntington School Board for 5 years, from 2001 to 2006. Left when I was elected to this position, where I was vice president of the board. And certainly those were some trying times in education. We did a lot of good things, had a great board at the time. I also served on the Huntington County Library Board for 6 years. Those were great times as well. However, after Governor Ed Rendell slashed our funding drastically, we had to make tough decisions, reduce staff, reduce hours. So, I'm not afraid to put up the tough votes, as we've done in Harrisburg. It's not an easy job, and it's not a thankless job, as some would say. I don't mind the schedule. It is 24/7, but that's something that I thrive on. And I thrive making our community a better place to live and work. We have a great workforce here. We have a great community of people who help each other out, and I'm very proud to be your representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Fleck. Next, we'll hear from candidate Richard Irvin.
Good evening. Thank you for the Farm Bureau, the Chamber, and Juniata College for having us here tonight. As introduced, my name is Richard Irvin, and I'm running to become your next state representative. I'd like to start off with telling you a little about myself, and then giving you a little bit of my viewpoints, and then follow it up to tell you how our campaign has been going. I'm a lifelong resident of Spruce Creek Township, Huntington County, born and raised there. I continue to reside there with my wife and 4 children. I always have taken the approach of putting God, family, and career. Unfortunately, this time of season, whenever you're out campaigning, you have a hard time putting family in its order. So that's one thing I think after May 20th I hope to correct. I've been serving as Huntington County Treasurer for the past 18 years. I was first elected in 1995 and took office in 1996. I have an accounting degree from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and I pride myself on my financial background. But I must say I do think common sense can go a long way in Harrisburg. We have, I take the stance that I feel that government exists to work for the people, rather than the people working and paying taxes to support a large government bureaucracy. I believe in less taxes, holding the line on, I believe in less government, holding the line on taxes, and enabling our local officials to handle the regional matters, so our state leaders can focus on the prevailing issues in Harrisburg and getting them solved, which I feel at this time is cutting waste out of the state budget. Education approach that puts our children first, our parents in charge, and lets our teachers teach. Creating family-sustaining jobs. And also the pension reform. I think that's something that we definitely need to get solved in Harrisburg. As many of you know, my campaign has had its ups and downs, and that's why I'm actually a write-in candidate at this point in time. It was quite a setback to have my name removed from the ballot, but the support is continuing to come in, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to continue meeting with the fine citizens of this 81st district. And I have a lot of faith and belief that we can make the 81st district a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. The format at this point, we have drafted some questions from the committee perspective, as well as we've collected questions from the audience. We will ask a question and give each of you 2 minutes to answer the question. And again, the yellow 30 seconds, the red, you're complete with your answer. So let's start with, Richard, you mentioned in your opening comments that pension reform is a bit of an issue that you'd like to tackle. So this question came from the Huntington County Farm Bureau. How would you deal with the growing pension costs, over $45 billion, that are severely undercutting the Commonwealth's ability to fund ag programs and services, and that are also impacting property taxes, which happen to be a big concern to large landowners like farmers?
The pension shortfall in the two states' retirement systems could really be probably one of the largest financial crises that's facing our Commonwealth right now. And there is probably no real cheap way out of it. My opinion is that we cannot ignore the problem. It is actually caused by 3 different issues. The lack of the state funding the system on the years whenever it was fully funded. The fact that we've had poor investments, or the stock market crashes of 2001 and 2008, and then we've also increased benefits to our retirees and employees over the years. So my opinion is we cannot continue the bleeding of the pension system. It is one thing that we must address, and the fact that we must realize that a promise made is a promise kept. So all your current retirees and your current employees must continue to receive the benefits that they were promised. But we need to look at the new hires only, and moving them from a defined benefit plan more to a defined contribution plan, which is more of a 401k or a 401k hybrid of sorts that would stop the shortfalls, or help the shortage in the retirement system. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Representative Fleck?
Well, certainly this is going to be one of the most painful situations that we've had to address in recent memory. And there is no easy answer. It's going to be painful for everyone. We've certainly seen that already with the cuts that we've had in the last few years. When Governor Rendell came in with the $4 billion deficit, waste was cut out of government. There's still, some little pockets that we can come after, but it's not going to be easy. Just yesterday, the Republican caucused on a pension reform bill that is tentatively set to be voted on in June, the first or second week, as it's going to be tied to the budget. But there again, you have 203 members, and it's going to take 102 votes. And everybody has a different opinion on what they want to see. These are guaranteed pensions. Case law dictates that. So new hirees are not going to be, or current members are not going to be affected in what they're receiving. So by changing over to a 401k or something of that nature, which is what the bill does, and something that inevitably we will probably end up doing, still doesn't make up for the shortfall of what we have, the obligation in there of the billions and billions of dollars that we're already on the hook for. And by rolling them into a new system, they're no longer paying in as they would, and so it's going to be painful for a couple years. Eventually we will get there, but it's getting to that magic number of 102 votes. And, it's going to be another tough budget cycle of where does the money come from. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. The next question comes from our audience, and we'll start with Representative Fleck. Would you be for or against consolidating school districts within Huntington County?
The first time I ever heard of this was Governor Rendell's budget address a couple years ago, and Rendell was probably one of the most savviest politicians we've seen, certainly, and he was characteristically known as, throwing out something that would keep the press busy while he was able to, focus on what he wanted to do. And, prior to him mentioning that in his budget address, there wasn't a whole lot of talk about that, serious talk, and, after that there wasn't a lot as well. I think it needs to come from the local level. I don't think that we should mandate anything, because once we start to mandate, these mergers, it goes over like a lead balloon. There's areas that it makes sense. I think in Beaver County, they had a lot of school districts. They had lost population. They did feasibility studies. They cut them significantly, and everyone was able to get along for the most part. There was a situation in Cumberland County where two of the larger school districts also did a feasibility study to see what the savings would be and how it would affect them, and they decided that it wouldn't work out. Certainly we have a lot of school districts, but let's not forget, we are a very rural county, and if we start closing down Shea Gap and some other little schools out there, how long do you want your kid on the bus? So we have 4 superintendents. We go to one school district, and we're going to be hiring one superintendent that's probably going to be making double what our highest paid is here. So the savings is kind of lost there, because then you'll hire a assistant superintendent. I think certainly it's something that we can look at. If it makes sense for us, it makes sense. But I think that the state can provide incentives that it makes sense.
Candidate Irvin.
As I mentioned in my opening statement, I take an education approach that puts our children first, our parents in charge, and lets our teachers teach. Education is one of the state's major responsibilities, and I feel that it should remain at a local level. I know we got to look at what's economically sound for our school districts. Administration in our school districts right now continues to grow the cost of administration. So you look at a consolidation, that would reduce the amount of administration we would have to pay for. But my approach, like I said, with the school system is to definitely make things to have an economically sound system. Too many times I feel you cannot take a bottom or a top-down approach whenever it comes to education. You got to look at it from the bottom up. Not every child learns at the same level or the same speed. Therefore, we cannot judge our school's performance on a standardized test score. I feel that a standardized test score is more of an insurance policy for actually receiving taxpayer funding. I think that we need to take an approach that rewards our schools for providing the best education that we can for our students to take them to their maximum potential. I have a son who has a learning disability at this point in time, and not every school district can make him or take him to the maximum potential. I think we need to look more towards applied learning in our school districts at this point in time to teach them a trade, to thank you.
One last question for both of you. We'll start, I guess both of our alternating, we'll start with you, candidate Irvin. Please tell us what you've accomplished as a leader in your community over the past several years.
I guess I came into the community, well, I've been in the community all my life, but whenever I first came into the political scene, I guess it was in 1995 when first elected county treasurer. I remember I graduated from college, and I was out in the job market looking for a career. My aunt actually had told me about the treasurer's position becoming open due to a retirement. So that was really a beginning job for me, or my first job out of school. And I feel that I stepped into the treasurer's office when there was not even a computer in the office, and I developed it into what the treasurer's office is today. So I pride myself on what I had done in the treasurer's office over the past 18 years. Outside of the treasurer's office, I've tried to get on a few boards. I've been on the United Way board since 1996 as well. I've served as past president and current treasurer. And I've also tried to expand out into tri-county boards. I currently sit on the Center for Community Action, which is a human service board that reaches the Bedford, Huntington, and Fulton County areas. Most of all, though, I think that keeping in contact with my constituents. Every day I have individuals that walk into my office, and I can look them in the eyes, and they can look me in the eyes and tell me what their concerns are with what's going on in the Huntington County and the 81st District. And I can understand and listen, and at this point in time, I'm ready to move forward and act on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Mike Fleck.
Certainly, I think I touched on a lot of my civic engagements from the years on the school board and the library board, as well as a member of the Rotary Club since 1999, and was also vice president of the Rotary before I was elected and stepped down as an officer. And they do a great number of civic programs and helping a lot of our human service agencies. I too am on the United Way board, ran the 2006 campaign, and those are things too that I'm passionate about, because human services is a great need in this county, and if it wasn't for groups like the United Way and Rotary, certainly the tax base would not be there to help meet the needs at the most basic level, which is a human level. And so those are things that I think I inherited from my mother, volunteering at the Shirley home from longer than what I can remember, and just getting to know people and work with people. And leadership is about getting into the trenches and pulling your own weight. And certainly I think I've been a leader, but I've also been a follower for all the great leaders that we have here in this community. And certainly my years with the Boy Scouts and all the projects that we've done through civic engagements, whether our food collection drives or just a number of other service projects. In the legislature, I've been a leader on education when it comes to rural schools, and that's because of our rural schools that we have and the needs that we have here. So I will continue. I think that's something that's that you inherit from your family, from your upbringing. I've also been a leader in my church over the years, and that too is important. Thank you.
Thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't mention to you as county residents that due to redistricting, the 81st district now covers all of Huntington County. So residents of the Broad Top area and the surrounding townships and municipalities will now have the opportunity to vote for one of these gentlemen at this table. If you're a Republican, you have the opportunity to vote for them in the primary election. Both are Republican candidates, and as Richard mentioned earlier, there's a write-in effort for his campaign. Lastly, you have 2 minutes, each of you, to tie up any loose ends to share with me you didn't get a chance to address in one of your earlier sessions. So, Representative Mike Fleck, would you please start?
Oh, thank you. Also addressing one of your comments, if you're a Democrat, you can also write my name in. So I would appreciate that. You know, I don't look at things in a partisan fashion. People come in my office and they'll say, you know, I'm a Republican, therefore you should help me. And it's like, I'm going to help you just because you're here, first of all. And I work hard. My staff works harder. They're on the front lines. I'm grateful for them. Grateful for my campaign team. When I first ran back in 2006, I knew that you know, politics 101, just the basics. He who knocks on the most doors, and also he who raises the most money. You know, you may not like that, but that's what it takes to get your name out there and let people know that, hey, this is why I'm running. But it's also an investment into your campaign. That year I knocked on 10,000 doors. Certainly not going to hit that many this year, but we have hit a couple thousand, especially in the new portions of the district, and very proud of that. We've been working hard, and you know, I'm in this to win it. I'm proud of the campaign that we've run. I'm proud of the people that have signed up to support me, and you know, certainly looking forward to moving not only this district but Pennsylvania forward. We're a great community, we're a great state. I still think we have our best years ahead of us, and it takes you know, leadership at all levels. And thank you, and I certainly would appreciate your continued support.
Thank you. Candidate, Irvin.
I mentioned it before, I believe in the 81st district, and I'm willing to go to Harrisburg and make the hard choices. They might not always be the most popular choices, but they will be the right choices to ensure that we have the opportunities for our children and grandchildren to live and work in the 81st district without having to move out. I think definitely we need to work hard to ensure that we can attract businesses into our district. And I think that's something that we need to focus on, and I would focus on as your state representative. Definitely reducing the corporate tax rates, making sure that we can advertise our empty buildings and actually market our good, strong, ethical workforce, and bring the corporations and the companies in the industry, try to bring them back to Huntington County and the 81st District to make sure that we can continue to grow and grow our tax base. I would go to Harrisburg with the idea that I have a family at home whose basically future depends on the decisions that I would make on the floor of the Capitol building. Thank you.